In the year 1960, the Royal Air Force conducted one of the strangest operations in its history to help curb an ecological disaster started by the World Health Organization. Hello everyone, my name is River, and today we're going to be discussing the causes, effects, and lasting impacts of Operation Cat Drop. Our story begins in Borneo, a large island in Southeast Asia that is known for its vast array of wildlife and ancient rainforests. And at the time our story takes place, it was actually controlled in part by the British. It is also home to the Dayak, a collective term used to describe over 200 different ethnic groups that are native to the island. But among the biodiversity, lush rainforests, and ancient cultures, there was an invisible killer spreading among the islanders. Spread by mosquitoes, malaria had become an epidemic among the people of Borneo, and without intervention, the disease would continue to ravage the native population. The World Health Organization, also called the WHO, decided that they had to step in, and so they began a campaign designed to eliminate malaria from Borneo once and for all. They decided that they would spray insecticides on certain parts of the island, and when the mosquitoes landed on the sprayed surfaces, they would die. And there had been similar efforts in other parts of the world that had seen major success, effectively eliminating malaria in certain areas. As the WHO began their campaign, everything went to plan, and cases of malaria significantly dropped. But, as they would soon find out, ecological balance is a delicate issue, and their campaign would have some unintended consequences. Part of what made the previous campaigns to eliminate malaria so effective was the use of a compound called DDT. DDT was developed in the 1940s, and at the time, it was widely used in insecticides. The first sign that something was wrong was when the native people began to notice that their roofs, which were made out of thatch, were being eaten by caterpillars. They also began to notice that there was a huge uptick in the amount of rats on the island. What had happened was that the DDT that was sprayed around the island had accidentally killed some of the natural predators that it was never intended to harm. In the case of the caterpillars, the DDT had killed one of their natural predators, a wasp, and without that wasp, the caterpillar population exploded and began to eat the people's roofs. And in a similar vein, the natural predators of the rats had been the cats. Either through eating contaminated prey items or through direct exposure, the cats had begun to die, and without the natural feline inhabitants, the rat population exploded. With the rats also came crop damage and increased risk of diseases like typhus and the plague. Yes, that plague. The WHO had inadvertently created a disaster. With roofs being eaten, crops being damaged, and increased risk of diseases, they knew they had to do something. The caterpillars could be addressed relatively easily, with the roofs being sprayed with a different type of pesticides, but the rats, on the other hand, were a different topic entirely. The plan they came up with was to deliver cats to these villages, but the only problem was that these villages were very remote, and so they had to come up with a very unique way of delivering the cats to the villages. They decided that they would parachute the cats out of planes. And there's a lot of misinformation regarding this part of the story, with some people claiming over 14,000 cats were used, but in reality, there was only around 20 that were used. While it seemed strange at first, parachuting supplies was nothing new to these remote villages. The RAF had, quote, pioneered the use of supply drops for outstations and field parties. They had even used airdrops to supply the villages with DDT before they realized the damage it was causing. To parachute the cats, specially made cages were developed that would allow them to float safely to the ground. Everything was ready, and on March 16, 1960, a crew in a Beverly transport plane flew out of Singapore and, quote, carried out a unique drop to Borneo, which is a remote village. According to the RAF, 7,000 pounds of stores, including 20 cats to wage war on rats that were threatening crops, were dropped. It is stated in the report that a person on the ground thanked the RAF and cat donors and cat basket makers, and that, quote, all cats safe and much appreciated. The operation was a success and helped to restore ecological balance to the island. Today, Operation Cat Drop serves as a cautionary tale, highlighting the delicate balance of ecosystems and how even things done with good intentions can have unintended consequences. Today, DDT is banned in the United States, and there is still heated debate between public health officials and environmentalists on whether DDT should be used in other parts of the world. Here's a quote from Tom Harrison, a man involved with Operation Cat Drop, that I think sums up the story pretty well. Speaking of the Orang Ulu tribe, quote, all who wish to do the Ulu well should daily report this motto, do good carefully, end quote. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye. They decided that they would spray... Our story begins in Borneo, a large... But among the But as they would soon find out, part of what had made previous campaigns to eliminate malaria so part of what made the previous Part of what made the previous campaigns to eliminate malaria so effective had been they decided that they would spray insecticides on certain parts of the island, and in many other places. Oh my god.